frozen in ice.
Power gear! Now level power! Power gear! Now level power!
The last dance.
this far. You're just another brick in the wall!
Finish this! Ready! Power gear! Power gear! Power gear! Power gear!
You wanna bounce with me? Let's get hopping!
It's so...
Okay, Meg. Are you sure? Ta-da!
Ready! Power gear!
step this up.
Now, start the music. I'm like a road, frozen in ice. The last dance.
You made it. Now prove yourself. More training! I've got a pretty short fuse. What's wrong? Don't need to die. Power gear! My left! My left! Ready! Power! Gear! End of the line, Mega Man! Power! Station two! Give up already! The time of reckoning has come! Power gear down! Power gear! Power is on! Give up, Wily! You leave me no choice! Time for...
At the rate we're going, we should have all 8 robots back on their feet by dinner time.
Doctor, did you install Mega's double gear system into auto?
I did. I'll remove it later, of course, just as soon as Otto's done working.
So this is why you came all the way to the Gear Fortress.
Yes. We were able to recover all their primary components, so they should be just like new. It would be a shame to let their talents go to waste when there's still so much good they can do.
Isn't this great, Mega?
See, you guys just had to turn it on. Why didn't chat turn on the commentary? That's on you, chat. Yo. We got some Mega Man 11 going on. This is race number 2. Obviously, you know that if you've been here longer than I have. But I will say this, Black Panther is still a good movie. Alright, so these guys, you may have been noticing a lot of weapon usage. This game has a lot of really cool tech that was added in specific to this game. Obviously, with modern gaming, controllers have a lot more to them, and so you can actually switch to any weapon you want pretty much at any time with the right stick or with the numpad, depending on if you play with keyboard or controller. So that's sort of why these guys can change weapons so fast. You may have been noticing it with the wheel. You can see their Carter switching between like block and blast and all that stuff really fast. And that's just that right stick being able to push in any direction to get a weapon really fast. Also, Rush is used with Buster equipped, so they can use Coil or Jet, just having Mega Buster equipped. And it's a quick way to also switch back to Buster if you need to, just another option instead of having to click in the right stick. These guys do go a slightly different route. Reabs takes a different route. It's not really a huge advantage. Like, there's no advantage to going a different route, really. It's mostly just preference. I would argue it just depends on the strats you use in the other stages with the weapons you're gaining. Reabs might gain a couple seconds in one of the other stages with the strats he'll have with his route, but he'll also lose time not having the weapons he needs in the other stages that Kartos is going to have. So that's really the only... You're not going to really see a huge time difference there. So Carter's finishing with Bounce. Reabs is going through with Fuse. These guys may look fairly close right now. Fuse is a shorter stage, though. So I would still say Carter's probably still in the lead here. But these guys will sort of even out here. I'm trying to remember where they are roughly in their routing. Yeah, okay, so Carter's going to Fuse. Reabs still has to go to Block, I believe. Yes, okay. So Carter definitely still has a good advantage here because Fuse is a much shorter stage. Block is a much longer stage in comparison. Another big difference with these guys and their routes is Reabs does a W tank route. It means he goes to the shop and he buys a lot of W tanks, and that allows him to use Impact and other weapons a lot more because he has the ability to refill his ammo. So basically, his hope is that he can save enough time utilizing those weapons after he's used them, after using the W tank, to actually catch him back up, because obviously it's slower to go to the shop and buy those things. But it is a way to sort of build some consistency, since using Impact is a lot more consistent than trying to slide and have really tight movement sometimes. So you will definitely see that as a advantage in a way for him. Carter getting a really nice skip there, using his W tank that he had. That saves a lot of time, being able to skip that one cycle on the lasers in that room, about almost 3 seconds. So solid Dread Spark fight. Reabs, you already saw Carter go through Block, but Block is a pretty simple stage, other than a few rooms, I would argue. The vertical rooms that you have to climb are kind of awkward, just because you're kind of blocked based on the cycle of the falling blocks. So you kind of have to be careful. If you get off cycle a little bit, those rooms can start to become a nightmare. So it's really important to nail those as you go through. Carter was going for a slightly faster skip using Rush Jet that Prissy found. Doesn't quite pull it off, but again, it's not a huge time loss. Fuse is entirely entirely cycle based because of the lasers. So you're gonna see making cycles becomes really important, and if you miss it, you essentially are losing seconds as opposed to, you know, a few frames sometimes. A big thing about this game is quick kills. You can see that they've been using the Power Buster shot. So this game, with its 2 different gears, you have the power gear and the speed gear. Typically, speed gear is not overly helpful because though it does make you go faster than the things around you, it slows the entire game down. So we don't really want to use it if we don't have to. But the power gear basically allows you to do stronger versions of all the weapons, and that includes your Buster, even to a point where you can get to a triple charge point with this one that Reabs just did, and you release a really large Buster shot. Takes a lot longer, and it burns out your gear when you do that, so it's not really a thing you want to utilize a lot, but every once in a while it's definitely worthwhile. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the stronger weapon usage mixed in with some of the not so strong weapon usage. It just depends on the situation. We want to use obviously strong versions of weapons, but it also uses more ammo if you're going to do that. So managing your ammo becomes really important, especially with Impact, because as you can see, Impact is a weapon kind of like the Flame Burner in X2. It allows you to dash horizontally, even if you're in midair, and so finding the best places to cut down, like long jumps and stuff like that, is really good for that if you can. Whereas if there's flat ground and you can slide the whole time, it's not really useful to do an impact there. So they're into acid stage already. This is the final of their 8-robot route. The stage itself is pretty forgiving. There's a few spikes, but like it's not that difficult of a stage for the most part. The biggest thing you want to look for here is drops. Though even if Reabs has a W tank, drops are still going to be useful. And for Carter, it's definitely going to be useful to get drops since he doesn't have the W tank. The more drops you can get to impact, the better, because you can then impact more. And drops don't slow you down in this game like they do in like the old NES Mega Man games. So the more drops that you can get on impact is only going to benefit you. So Carter still has the advantage here, but he is low on impact. He hasn't been getting that luck from the enemy kills, so he's having to take a few extra rooms a little bit slower just because he didn't get the extra ammo he was hoping for. Whereas here you see Reabs, he's got his W tank, so he's refilled, and he's just using it as much as possible. So Carter's already into the final boss corridor here to fight Acid. Reabs probably a good 20 to 25. I can only estimate. I'm sure there's somebody that can actually see exactly how far behind he is, but I would guess 20 to 25 seconds-ish. This quick kill is pretty cool. Like, all the quick kills are basically, yeah, utilizing... You notice actually how Buster actually gets used a lot in a lot of these boss fights. And that just shows how good the Power Buster really is in this game. There's some kills that are almost just better to use Buster in than to actually kill with the weakness. A good example of that actually is Impact. The Impact Man boss fight is actually slower with... Well, not technically slower, but you can't kill Impact Man with his weakness and skip his power gear phase. And that's what a lot of these quick kills are based around. It's trying to skip the power gear and speed gear phases that the bosses have, because some of the time the bosses become invulnerable during those times. So if you can kill them before they use those abilities, then you are saving a ton of time. And that's sort of why boss fights like Block and Impact are so important, because if they go into their gear phase, you're just prolonging your fight by at least 12 to 15 seconds, depending on which boss you're fighting. So these quick kills are mostly routed to avoid those gear phases. So Carter's into Wily 1. He does make a little bit of a mistake here. He's going to sort of recover fairly nicely. He just needs to get into the checkpoint room. There he goes. Again, Reabs has the W tank, so he's going to pick up a little bit of time potentially here on Carter, but a lot of this stage is execution based, and this is a stage of pits. As you can see, they're really everywhere, so mistakes in this stage are typically more punishing. Carter's actually in one of the hardest rooms of the stage, so we'll see. Yeah, I didn't quite make her. So this room is it's got all these ammo pellets, so ideally you can just stay on impact and just fly over the entire thing, but you need to grab the ammo as you're going. So as you can see, it's a tricky room, and Carter was just a hair short on his one power impact. So Reabs sort of takes this his small lead back that he had before his death in Torch. And Carter will have to go through that room again. Gets through it very nicely this time, though. He did burn out his gear, unfortunately, though, which means he's not going to have power gear for this next room, so he's not going to be able to do the normal strat into the next flyover room that you see Reabs going through. A slight miss menu there by Reabs, but it's all good. As he goes into his Yellow Devil fight. And Carter's right on his heels, so even with that death, Carter lost a lot of time for that death, and he's still right behind Reabs, so that shows how far of a lead he actually had. So, oddly enough, and kind of funny enough, the pattern that these orbs come out is the exact same as Mega Man 1. So, if you've ever played Mega Man 1 before, the dodging of it is actually pretty easy. Reabs going for a slightly slower strat here. He's going to take the D-boost off the right wall. And he actually missed. He blasted a little early, and that costs you about 3 seconds. Whereas Carter's going for a faster kill here, and he's going to kill right on the corner. Very nice. So Carter picking up a nice chunk of time there in that boss fight, actually, and is now very close to Reabs. Reabs still has a W tank in reserve, but Wily 2 would kill a lot of enemies. And like I said, killing enemies is only going to increase your chances at drops. So if Carter gets some good luck in Wily 2, then Reabs' W tank is kind of not even helpful. It's one of the reasons why, at the moment, I would argue, well, at the moment the record is the W tank route, but ultimately, luck will always, I think, outweigh playing safe, and the W tank route is definitely playing safe. The other route, you're gambling on luck of drops, so in the end, the route that Carter's taking will always be faster, I think, RTA, and you can see he got a big drop there, which is really good. But in a race setting, and you're only doing like one race kind of thing, then it's not necessarily going to, always pay off. But right now, Carter's getting some really good luck, getting lots of drops. And you're going to see here, Reabs is, well, we'll see. I don't actually see if he already burned it or not, so I'm not sure if he has his W tank or not. I was watching Carter's luck at the moment for his drops. If he still has it, he's going to probably use it up pretty soon, because there's a lot of ammo still coming up in the checkpoint of this stage that he's approaching. Seeing a lot of weapon usage here, that swap between blast and impact, and blast and impact, trying to grab all the drops you can on the right weapon. So Carter's getting some really nice luck with the drops, like I said. So he's looking good, honestly, for this stage. I think overall, it's been paying off for him here. This is a room that's pretty straightforward. You basically just don't want to fall. But both these guys coming into the fight, pretty reasonable stages. So Mavern kind of looks like Q9 from Mega Man 5 a little bit, but not quite the same thing. But the idea is to deal a lot of damage, mainly with your impacts, and Reabs gets a really nice fight there. It's the faster kill with the triple impacts. We're still not seeing a ton of people go for it, but these guys both actually go for it and get it, so that's really nice. There's really not a whole lot to say other than he can float around if you're not timing your impacts correctly and missing some of the hits, because the impact actually has to hit twice, which is why if you miss part of that, the fight actually goes a lot longer. So both these guys nailing it is really good. So keeping with the same pattern of all the other boss fights that you had to do in the stages, now we get the refights just like every other Mega Man game. So execution on refights is going to be really important. You can see Carter's setting up for the fast kill. Reabs is doing the slower kill, actually. So, and Reabs also gets bad luck. So if Carter gets a good fight here, he can almost be even if they're really lucky. He gets a harder pattern, but he gets the kill. Really sick. So you can see how much faster Carter's fight was opening with Tundra as opposed to Reabs' slower fight like he does in the original stage. And now they're practically tied. Very, very good choice by Carter to go for that fast kill. Saved at least 2 to 3 seconds with that, so that's really good. Ooh, missed his initial impact on bounce here, so Reabs is going to get that time back. Actually, Carter's not really sure, I don't think, what he wants to do here. He's trying to, like, time his hit on bounce, but he's just off target with a lot of the hits. So that's actually going to be a little more... Ooh, that's going to be a little rough. That's really unfortunate, too, because bounce is one of the easier fights in the 8 robots, so kind of a rough go of it, but he's just going to have to shake it off and now kind of hope that Reabs makes a mistake somewhere in some of these other fights, potentially. Reabs falling down there, but that's all good. It's a minimal time loss. He's got plenty of time now to sort of like relax a little bit with this slight lead over Carter. He just has to focus on his hits. So gets his kill on block. So Fuse, another fight that uses the Power Buster a lot, as you saw. It does open with his weakness, which is Bounce Ball, but you're going to see mainly just Power Buster shots like you see here Reabs doing. So really nice. Oh, he did go a little early there. So minimal time loss, because even if you make a mistake in this fight, as long as you get the majority of the Power Busters, that's the important part. So still not really enough for Carter to catch up as much as he would like, but any little mistake will give him a little bit of time back, which is good. Of course, not so good for Reabs in those cases, but that was a minor mistake, so really not that big of a deal. Gets a nice kill here on Tundra. Does go for a slightly slower one, but it's still really consistent. I'd say maybe only like 0.2 or 0.3 seconds slower. And Carter gets that faster kill, so really minor time save. But again, every little strat helps when you're going for time. So something worth noting, because Reabs didn't go for the Tundra kill on impact, he does have Tundra to use here on Blast. So his Blast fight will actually be a little bit faster, ideally, than Carter's, since he'll do the other one just like he did in the stage. So it'll be a little bit slower here, but it's really not a huge difference. The reason we want to go for... Basically, you want to go for the one on impact because it does save more time than this one, but it is what it is. It's up to the runners what they can do consistent. Carter does a really nice job of killing Blast the old way. That's the old prissy fight. And keeps himself in it. He's down, you know, a little bit here, but we've definitely seen runners make mistakes in Wily 4, so he's not completely out of it, but Reabs kind of is in the driver's seat for the most part at this point, so he just has to make sure he doesn't take any major time losses. Capsule in this game is not overly difficult. It's not like a game where you can lose a ton of time in, so realistically, as long as Reabs is really careful and doesn't do anything really foolish, he should be good to go. Both guys get the cycle they want, so that's good. Yeah, this is looking like a really low 35 here for Reabs, which is a solid race time, if he can pull it off. He's got a really nice machine fight. Oh, does lose a little bit of time. He unfortunately looks like he got a hit with the acid. As you get, if stuff hits your acid shield, actually, it will like reflect, and the reflected little orbs do less damage than the actual shield. So it looks like he just got kind of bad luck with that. But still really close. He's getting a fairly decent pattern here. Ooh, Wily getting a little bit away from him. Does get that hit in there, though, so he should be good. And gets his final hit in, so solid run. 35-12. Unfortunately, he didn't really behave for Carter either, so Carter is going to not quite be able to catch him in time, but only being 7 seconds apart, that's a solid race there. So GG to Reabs.
Helpless old man!